Chapter 18. London, England, September 7th. It all happened so fast. Ariana watched in horror as the demon Skrymir tore up a Brazilian girl she had spoken to only twice. His long talons, like daggers made of ice, ripped her chest and abdomen open and her viscera spilled out onto the floor. But Skrymir did not stop there. He grabbed another girl by the face and dashed her body so hard against the wall that the snapping of her bones was like wind chimes. "Ariana!" John Travers cried, trying to pull her away. "We don't have a chance! Come away now!" But she could not. Though she had been trained to combat the forces of darkness, and schooled in their nature, never in her wildest dreams had she imagined the existence of something like this. Demons were real, yes, but how could she conceive of true evil until it stood, fuming, emanating the chill of its cruel and frozen heart, eyes blazing with sinister intent. How can I fight such a thing? Tears threatened at the corners of her eyes as Ariana realized that she must fight it, no matter the inevitable consequence. "I will not run," she told John, her own gaze locked upon the demon's eyes. "Ah," Skrymir said, almost relieved. "A brave one." Perhaps 15 feet separated her from the demon. Ariana felt John pulling at her again, but she shook him off. Vaguely, she was aware that for him to concentrate his concern so much on her, that he must care for her. It registered, for she cared for him as well, but he should know that she could not run, could not turn away from the presence of such evil. Skrymir's wings rippled and spread wider, ice scraping the wall on one side and cracking the railing on the stairs on the other. Eleanor and Isabel and 2 other girls stood between them. But Ariana felt, somehow, that the fight had come down to her and the ancient beast, this darkling god from out of northern myth. The world seemed to slow around her. Her physical sensations intensified, so the leathery handle of the axe in her hands was rough but comfortable. It felt powerful in her hands. Even as she took a step toward the demon, Ariana saw another girl attack Skrymir, a morning star in her hands. It was Beatrice Lizotte, a shy girl with a sweet smile from Nova Scotia in Canada. She swung the spiked mace around on its heavy iron chain as though she were a warrior out of legend, but there was terror in her eyes. Skrymir tore the morningstar from Beatrice's hands, then struck her with it, the spiked ball hitting her in the shoulder with a crack of bone. The girl screamed and went down, and the demon lashed off a single hoof that sent her crashing through the broken balusters and tumbling down to the stairs that led to the first floor. Perverse as it was, Ariana thought of her as lucky, for Beatrice might yet live. Grim-faced, she glanced at John. "Are you with me?" she demanded. His own expression just as grave, John nodded. Then he moved to stand just beside her, though it was clear from his body language that he would have liked to stand in front, to shield her from the horror that stomped toward them on cloven feet. Eleanor and Isabel, both armed with swords, attacked together. The American girl was batted aside easily, though she rolled with the blow. Ariana admired the move. The girl had been well trained. Skrymir brought the morningstar down to crush Isabel's skull. Isabel brought her sword up to clang against the weapon's chain and hold it fast. The ball and chain wrapped once around the sword, and then extraordinary things began to happen. Isabel flicked her wrist and used the sword to yank the morningstar from Skrymir's grasp. She tossed the weapon aside even as the surprised demon brought his right hand around it at a swift arc. Foot-long, razor-sharp ice talons extended to cut her to ribbons. With her eyes shining brightly as though in a nigh upon religious fervor, Isabel lifted her sword up before her with both hands to deflect the blow, knocking Skrymir's arm away before spinning a vicious little arc and hacked into the demon's frozen gut hard enough to crack the ice and send shards flying. Skrymir roared in pain and astonishment. "Oh God!" Ariana cried. "How did she do that?" John was grinning madly. "She's been chosen," he said loudly. "She's the Slayer!" The demon knew it as well, for he took 2 steps back to regard the girl again. Now Isabel stood between Skrymir and the others, the survivors, which included a trio of frightened girls, 4 young watchers, and the handful of older watchers and other girls who weighed down the first floor. "Damn you, Spike!" the demon roared. Ariana was confused. She was also, in truth, slightly disappointed. "It should have been me," she thought. "I felt it, somehow. The moment of choosing. It should have been me." A tiny wisp of green mist drifted from the crack in the demon's gut before the ice sealed it off again. Ariana frowned and studied that crack. It was true that something swirled within the creature's icy form, like poison gas or smoke. Somehow, that point of the demon's midsection was vulnerable. Isabel stood tall before the creature. She seemed to have a kind of gleam or polish that she had never had before, as though she crackled with the energy of the Slayer. With a shout of vengeance, the girl from Barcelona moved in to attack once more, sword held high. But she did not attack the demon's torso, and it was clear that Isabel did not have much training. Swiftly, yes, and powerfully as well, Isabel hacked at Skrymir. With one stroke, she chopped 2 talons from the demon's left hand. With another, she carved a chunk out of his shoulder. A third blow lopped off one of Skrymir's massive horns, cracked his icy skull, and sent him stumbling backward, wings coming up and around him to act as a shield. Isabel approached with all the strength of the Slayer, but with little caution. With the demon crouched within the shell that his wings created around him, she stood there in the middle of the hall and brought the sword down again and again, hacking away at the ice wings that protected the evil one. Eleanor was the nearest to the Slayer. She was bruised and battered, but otherwise all right. When she saw what was happening, she shouted out immediately. Ariana did the same. Their voices merged into one as they cried out for Isabel to take care. In the pause between one sword stroke and the next, when Isabel had lifted the blade above her head, Scrimer's wings opened and both hands shot almost faster than Ariana could see. The demon gripped both of her wrists in one massive hand and crushed the bones to powder. Isabel screamed, but her voice was caught when the demon lunged forward with his open maw filled with jagged, frozen fangs and tore out her throat. Streaming blood melted his eyes just a bit where it spattered his body. With a roar of pleasure, Scrimer dropped the corpse of the Slayer and rose to finish what he had begun. Ariana stood paralyzed, waiting for the choosing to happen again, waiting to become the Slayer. Waiting. Scrimer stormed toward her, massive hooves stomping, cracking the winged floor, talons flashing through the air as he reached for her. Ariana stopped breathing. Her heart beat wildly, and she closed her eyes. Waiting. She felt the cold of the demon's icy claws as they sliced the air near her face, but by then she was falling, tumbling to one side. John drove her across the hall to slam into a partially open door into an elegant bedroom. She hit the floor, and all the breath was driven from her. Her axe thunk to the floor inches from her, and even at an angle it cut through the wood and stayed there, blade dug into the floor. John was on top of her. Ariana looked up at him, saw the fear in his eyes, and realized it was for her. Only for her. This brave man had never been afraid for himself. That new understanding struck her profoundly, but there was not time even to ask herself what it meant to her. Someone else screamed down the hall. One of the Watchers, one of John's friends, was dying out there. Perhaps more than one. Though his look told her he might have wished to linger, John stood up quickly and reached for his own dropped weapon. Ariana leaped to her feet, anger and fear and determination coursing through her, revitalizing her. She wished that it was more than that, more than emotion and adrenaline, but she knew that it was not. As she tore her axe from the wood floor, she marveled at how sharp its blade was. Magic, it had to be. No man-made weapon had ever been honed to so keen an edge. John was at the door before her. From out in the hall there came the clang of metal. He paused at the door and glanced back at her. "Eleanor," he said. "It's Eleanor." For a moment Ariana did not understand what he meant, and wondered if Eleanor had been killed. Then the two of them moved out into the hall, weapons at the ready, and she saw what had happened. Eleanor, with her superior training, ducked, dodged, or simply outpaced every one of Scrimer's attacks as the demon attempted to destroy her. The girl's blade whickered through the air with blinding speed, and she chipped away at the demon. Eleanor Boudreaux was the Slayer. Once again, Ariana's first bare thought was, "It should have been me!" Instantly, she pushed the thought away. Eleanor was her friend. There were better reasons as well. Ariana had no doubt that of all the Slayers in waiting who had been forced to hide out together in the fourth-floor room of the council headquarters, Eleanor was the best candidate. She had received excellent training, but she had also been an excellent student. Now here was the truth of it. "You are swift, girl, and clever," Scrimer thundered, attempting to lash out at her with his hooves. "But I am older than legend, and I have been waiting for this day. I will not allow you to steal it from me." Eleanor avoided his attack once more. Scrimer tried to catch her with his wings, and Eleanor did the impossible. Rather than try to escape again, she stood fast, then brought her blade around with such power that she shattered the demon's wing. Scrimer roared his fury. He slashed at her with his talons again. Eleanor avoided the blow, but could not dodge in time to escape being battered by Scrimer's raised hoof. The Slayer was thrown backward and hit the floor, doubled over in pain. Eleanor was up quickly, but she was moving slower now. She would heal, of course. Ariana knew that, but not instantly, and Scrimer was not likely to give her time. With a sudden twirl, Ariana turned and kissed John on the cheek, hefted her axe, and, as Eleanor rose to meet the demon's renewed attack, followed the Slayer into battle. Eleanor attacked again. Ariana stood back, keeping the Slayer between herself and the demon. She watched and she waited, in case Eleanor met the same fate as Isabel, in case she were called after all. Scrimer cried out as Eleanor impaled him with her sword, and when she withdrew the blade, it was followed by another puff of that green smoke. Scrimer shuddered almost imperceptibly and grunted. Eleanor ducked inside his reach again and tried to stab once again, but this time Scrimer was too quick for her. The demon slammed a closed fist down into Eleanor's wrist, breaking her arm. The sword fell to the floor. The demon struck her again, his massive fist covered with jagged ice stalactites that punctured Eleanor's shoulder and back. One punched through her upper arm enough to pierce the skin on the other side, protruding bloodily. Scrimer bent over the Slayer, forcing her to the ground, rearing back his fist to pummel her again. Ariana knew one more blow might cost Eleanor her life, but she also knew that she had to take that risk, had to wait. Wait. The demon struck again, hunched over the broken body of the Slayer. Silent, furious, Ariana stepped in close to Scrimer, and, with a single swing of the darkling axe, cleaved the demon's icy skull in two. Screaming, Scrimer reared up on his hooves. Ariana pulled the axe back and it came away smoothly. Green mist leaked from the shattered ice of Scrimer's skull. The demon clamped both hands on his head. The green flames that flickered from his eyes dimmed slightly, even as he began to glance around for the source of this attack. Blood, Ariana thought. It's like blood, or even worse. With Scrymer standing up to his full height, in the second it took the demon to heal the massive wound in his skull, she swung again. The second blow was sideways. She stood as if dropping out of a tree, and brought the axe around with all her might. It struck the same spot where the crack in Scrymer's torso had been, the spot she thought was vulnerable. He had been wounded there before, at least once, probably more. The axe shattered his midsection completely, and the demon collapsed to the floor, broken in two like a porcelain doll. It flailed out with wings and hooves and talons, and Ariana stepped back to avoid its death throes. She grabbed Eleanor, and then John was beside her, and the two of them hauled the injured Slayer away from the broken demon. Already, Eleanor was recovering, ready to fight again. But the fight was over. Green mist curled from the two shattered halves of Scrymer's body, and the ice that made at the top and bottom halves of his body began to truly freeze, to become nothing more than lifeless, though horrifying, sculptures carved of ice. The mist drifted toward the shattered window the demon had come through. Ariana watched it in fascination. It was in that moment that she realized something else. The bombs had stopped. The air raid on London was over, at least for the moment. The city was devastated. The damage had been done. Yet somehow she knew that this attack might be the very thing that steeled the British people for the war, forged within them a determination that would carry them through to victory. The last of the mist was leaking from the upper half of Scrymer's body. Even the demon's face seemed nothing but ice now. "That was amazing," Eleanor told her. "You saved us." Ariana shook her head. "You saved us. I simply waited for the right moment." John Travers smiled and reached for Ariana's hand. Close by there came the sound of ice shattering. Ariana whirled around to watch in horror as spikes of ice shot into the air from the broken form on the floor. Almost like massive icicles, straight and sharp tentacles, they seemed to chase after the mist. There were half a dozen at first, then a dozen, in a circle around that mist. Then the air between them, as though charged with a current of freezing cold, quickly turned to ice, forming a large cylinder of a shell around the green mist that was the essence of the demon Scrymer. It fell to the ground with a crack, but did not break. Then it changed, altering its form until they were looking at the face of Scrymer once again. But Scrymer reduced in power and stature so that the demon was no larger than Ariana herself, perhaps even a bit smaller. It glared at her and the others, then stepped forward without a word until it reached the shattered remains of what it once was. It began to absorb the ice into itself, building its mass. Its back cracked and wings sprouted. Ariana hefted her axe. John stepped in front of her, sword raised. The demon ignored them all. With a roar of humiliation and pain, it beat its wings and pushed off the floor. Scrymer flew above them, small enough to be out of reach after taking them by surprise. The demon flew to the landing and then up to the third floor. Then it kept going. "Where is it going?" Eleanor asked. "However it got in, that's how it'll get out," John replied. Together they ran after the thing, up 2 flights of stairs. Eleanor, with the gifts of the Slayer at her disposal, pulled ahead and reached the 4th floor fully a dozen steps ahead of them. It did not matter. By the time Ariana and John caught up to her, at the door to the meeting chamber that had turned into the girls' quarters, a massive ice tunnel that had opened from the windows on one side was shrinking quickly. It narrowed, the room returning to its original state, the windows intact, until there was no trace at all that the portal had ever been there. John stepped into the room. Eleanor and Ariana followed. "He's really gone," Ariana whispered. "But he didn't finish the job," John said. "He survived. It might take a long time for Scrymer to recover from the damage the two of you did to him today, but he survived. This is not over. The council is in ruins, but we must survive, and we must be more vigilant than ever before." Ariana frowned, studying the windows. One of the panes of glass did not look exactly right. She stepped forward and reached up to touch the glass. She had to stand on tiptoe to reach it. "What are you doing?" John asked. "It's cold," Ariana told him. "This is not glass. It is ice." Eleanor, the taller of the two girls, stepped forward and punched the ice pane out of the window, shattering it instantly. "Vigilant," she said, turning to Ariana. The two girls embraced. John laid a hand on Ariana's shoulder. All through the house were the corpses of their friends and associates. The carnage had to be removed. But members of the board of directors had survived. It would be up to them to decide what to do next. "I was so afraid," Eleanor whispered into Ariana's ear. "Me too,"